Hello, friends. My name is Patty Knight, and I am a star director from South Bend, Indiana. And I am here today to talk to you a little bit about influence and inspiration. To start my story, I'm going to go back a year. Just this time last year, I was preparing to speak at World Tour in Detroit, and my subject was the big picture. And as I was preparing for that day, I can remember that there were things that I had to hold back a little bit on as I prepared my big picture for 2023. Just a few days before my world tour in Detroit, I had found a lump. And leading up to Detroit, I had gone through a mammogram and a biopsy, and I was actually awaiting my results the day that I stood there in Detroit and talked to everyone about the big picture. And even though I think I knew in my heart what my results were going to be, I was still trying to live positively and conduct my business in the best way I knew how. Just a few days after I got home from Detroit, my results came in, and as I expected, I was diagnosed with breast cancer. So I had some choices, and I think at that time, your number one decision or thought process is, well, I'm just going to have to give up my business. I can't focus on myself and my health if I'm trying to run a successful business. But you see, I'd been down this road before. 8 years earlier, my grandson, at 2 years old, was diagnosed with leukemia. And again, at that time, I thought, well, I'm going to have to give up my business. I have a daughter and son-in-law. They had a 6-week-old baby, and now a 2-year-old that was sick with cancer. They're going to need me. I can't work full-time at my real job, focus on a Scentsy business, and help them all at the same time. But I gave myself a couple of days to kind of think things through, and then I realized that I could try and do it all. I could refocus on exactly how I worked my Scentsy business, but I didn't have to give it up. And now, 8 years later, I was looking at a decision again. And I made the decision that maybe I can revamp the way I work my business, but still maintain it and go through whatever treatments are ahead of me. So on Valentine's Day last year, I met with my surgeon, with my oncologist, and a plan of attack was put into place, my treatment plan. And I was looking at 12 weeks of chemo, followed by 4 rounds of the Red Devil, followed by a lumpectomy, and then 20 rounds of radiation, and then ending with 9 rounds of Keytruda, which I am currently in the middle of right now. So by May, I should be done. Right now on my upcoming schedule here in February will be a CT scan, a bone scan, and another mammogram. So this is my 1-year mark, and this is what my scanxiety is in effect right now as I face these 3 things. But according to my oncologist, everything is going to come back great, and that's what I'm focusing on. So last Valentine's Day, as my plan is put in front of me, I thought, okay, I have a structure here, I have a plan, and now I will work my business alongside of this. So there were many days that I would sit in a chemo chair for 3 hours, and I would put in orders, and I would post on my VIP page. I will just say that during this time, of course, I couldn't do home parties, but by golly, I could enter orders, whether it was in a chemo chair or laying on the couch, and I could post religiously, day in and day out on my VIP page. And this customer base that I had built over 15 years, they were there to take care of me. They were there to support me. So my husband was a huge help to me during this time, and he would unpack orders, he would label things, he would deliver what he could, and then other than that, customers would pick up things from my front porch. And while I'm mentioning my husband, I practiced this in front of him a few days ago, and his one request was that I make sure that everybody knows that his name is Bob because he wants credit. And for those of you who know my husband, I know this doesn't surprise you one bit. So anyway, thank you, Bob, for all of the help and support you gave me and our business during those rough days last spring. I had earned the incentive trip last year, and of course, now I was sick. And I remember on my first visit with my oncologist, I asked him, I said, I've earned this trip to this incentive cruise to the Caribbean. Am I going to be able to go? And his first response was, yes, you'll be able to go. But then he came back with, where is the cruise going to? And I told him, I think it was Haiti and Jamaica. And he responded with, well, if you would get sick on the cruise, the last thing I want is for them to have to take you off the ship in Haiti and have you treated there. And I knew he was right. He said, is there somewhere else that you can go? And I said, yes, New York would be one of my options. And his response was, I will let you go to New York. Best hospitals in the world. So even though it wasn't my first choice, I didn't want to miss out on something I'd worked very hard for. So we headed to New York, and we had a great time. We met lots of new friends, and we ate at some wonderful places, and I rested when I needed to rest, and I worked my business along the side, all along, posting from New York about, being able to take this incentive trip while undergoing treatment. So we came home from New York, and the spring and early summer got rougher for me. I went downhill greatly in the month of June. I had started my treatments for the Red Devil, and I can remember one day I was feeling pretty well, and we had some deliveries to make, and I told him, I'll ride along with you. You can run orders up to the porch, but I'll get out and enjoy the sunshine. Well, it didn't take very long, and I was going downhill quickly. And we went back home. I took my blood pressure, and it was like 80 over 50. And I knew that wasn't good. So I called in, and they said, go straight to the ER. So I spent my day in the ER going through a battery of tests when finally they discovered that I had a pulmonary embolism, and I was admitted to the hospital. So let me just say that you're at your low when you're laying there on a hospital bed and you have an IV going into one arm and you have blood thinners pumping into this arm and you're bald and you're sick. And that was probably the lowest of the low for me. But the good news was right around the corner, and that was that my MRI results had come back and my tumor was gone. And so I'll never forget the day that my oncologist sent the nurse practitioner in. I was hooked up, ready to start my next round of the Red Devil, and she said, your tumor is gone, and doctor says no more Red Devil. I mean, I cried. My infusion nurse started crying. And she said, now we just are going to take you off of this and let your body rest for the next month. And so this was an answer to prayers, no more Red Devil. And I started feeling better. The month of July looked better and better for me. I was able to enjoy family time at the lake. But the only bad thing was I had missed the cutoff to register for SFR. And it was my first missed SFR in 15 years, and I was in a funk. But I'm going to tell you that there was a group of consultants here in Indiana, and they made a flat patty, one of those stick things with my face on it, and they road tripped with flat patty to Charlotte. And I'm going to tell you, Flat Patty made the rounds. She was posing for pictures with anyone and everyone. Dan Orchard, Chuck Thompson. Flat Patty was, she was doing it. And I was showing these pictures to my husband, and he said, Flat Patty is like more popular than you. And I said, that's fine. She can have her moment of glory. So even though I missed SFR, let me tell you, when August 1st hit, I was ready to hit the ground running. I was feeling better. I was scheduled for my lumpectomy. I was ready to start planning for my fall selling season, for my fall events. And most of all, I was ready to start thinking about earning another incentive trip. Because here's the thing, I'd earned 17 incentive trips, and I wasn't going to let cancer keep me from trying to earn number 18. So I go into August ready to go. But we all know that in order to earn an incentive trip, you have to be able to recruit. And now my negativity is setting in, and I'm thinking, who's going to want to join my team when I'm sick? Who is going to want me to lead them when I'm struggling to get through everything? Because come September, I was starting on 20 rounds of radiation. But you know what? All of a sudden in August, 5 people joined my team. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's get going here. So I helped them. I helped them all promote to certified. Several of them hit sensational start levels. And by October, I'd earned a trip to Hawaii. By November, I'd earned my husband's spot. And by December, I was in the top 50. All of this, I was in shock. So why am I telling you all of this that went on for me in the last year? Basically, it's because adversity can't define you. You have to get up and get going. Looking back over the last year, if I'd walked away, I would not have blessed these 5 people with a business opportunity, with added income for their families. I wouldn't be looking at the possibility of Bora Bora, but for sure Hawaii with my husband. Optimism in the face of adversity. Positive attitude is 90% of this, let me tell you. Another thing I wanted to mention was my buddy drives. I'll go back just a minute, but 8 years ago I started these buddy drives when my grandson was sick, and we would donate Sensi Buddies to kids with cancer. And my customers jumped on board, and we, every year, twice a year, in August for his birthday and at Christmas, we would deliver Sensi Buddies. And Gabe would always go with Grandma and help me. Well, now Gabe is 10 years old and healthy as can be and big and strong. And so this last Christmas, thanks to my customers, we were able to donate almost 200 buddies for our pediatric oncology unit, along with the pediatric department at the hospital. And this year was even more special than ever because not only was Gabe healthy, but I was working toward good health. And so it was 2 cancer survivors that were delivering this buddy. And I think this past Christmas, that was just the best of all the years that we've been able to do this. So in closing, what I want to say is just be the example that others need. Somewhere out there, there's somebody watching you. They're watching your journey. They're watching your strength. And they want you to be the one to guide them on their Sensi journey. Sensi is family. Just a few weeks ago, or actually it was just last week, I was on the leadership cruise, and this subject was brought up, and Dan talked to us about how we are stronger together. So I don't care if you are a team of 2 or a team of 2,000, working together, you are stronger together. You're stronger as a team. You build your team. You work together with your team. You support your team. And then when adversity hits, like it did for me, I relied on my team to carry me through. So, in closing here, my words of wisdom here are: do not question, do not doubt, do not hesitate. Just keep moving forward. So I hope that 2024 is a great journey for you and your team. And I have big goals and big dreams. And I hope you do too. Thank you.